decided to rename what I've been calling the pregame show for almost 2 years now. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. When did I start doing those? It's the earliest slideshow. Looks like 2021, back in almost exactly a year ago. The first one of these was 7/17/2021. So, been doing these little preludes for about 2 years now, off and on. Just going to start calling them show and tell because truly, that is what it is. Yeah, so this week I watched a luchador film that is a little outside of my normal stomping grounds. Usually, almost everything that I've watched so far includes either Blue Demon or El Santo, and Mil Mascaras has shown up. I've watched his debut film, which is quite good. But this is the first one that I've watched sort of astray from my canon too. And it is a delight. It is extremely goofy. And I'm very excited to share that here. Let's see. Yeah, Leyendas Macabras de la Colonia. This is the macabre legend of the colony. And the narrative background for this falls into a genre of genre storytelling that is very particular to Mexican cinema that I was not aware of until sort of really jumping into these movies. And the closest I can think of maybe would be like a Western, like, you know, the Western sort of cowboys and Indians style movie that was sort of very rote and formulaic with familiar set pieces, tensions, and payoffs. In American cinema in the 50s, 60s, 70s, this is analogous to that in that it is set in colonial times in Mexico with tensions between indigenous peoples and the colonizers. And the colonizers, evening Shogi, it's good to see you, are identified by their sort of bringing in, Christendom to the pagan peoples, and the indigenous folks having some sort of cultic, some sort of native cult that is resisting this. This has shown up in the El Santo movies several times, as a matter of fact. El Santo, his ancestor was actually on the side of the Inquisition. That's not necessarily a place you would find a hero's origins now, but in the sort of push against heathendom that was a side to be on. And so that is sort of the background for what the macabre legend of the colony is. Nonetheless, that context notwithstanding, it does of course involve our favorite type of hero, which is the luchador. So Mil Mascaras, Tinieblas, El Gigante, and Tinieblas is huge. His name means darkness, and he has one of my favorite backstories among luchadors, and is in fact a really good example of why lucha libre resonates so much more strongly with me than American or Japanese pro wrestling, which is the imagination behind it. It is very tied to what the literary world might call genre fiction, which is often used as a code word for pablum, but that's where I make my home, so screw it. Oh yes, no, his Evening Taco. Yeah, he was. I don't think that he. No. His enemy, his original enemy, his ancestors' original enemy was a Satanist. They were fighting over the love of a woman, and his rival could not overcome Santo's charm and overall appeal. So he made a pact with the devil, and Santo, of course, defeated him. Was given strength by an angel, and was told that from henceforward you will grapple as a warrior with your hands and not with the sword, because it's that would be the way that they would have fought then. And so that's kind of his origin story. Tinieblas is from outer space. He's from outer space. He was here on Earth before humankind sort of was coming up. He was buried underneath a South American temple for many thousands of years, and then rose up, and now he is here among us to wrestle. And that's his backstory. But not his character's backstory in this. I don't think that really comes into play very much. And then there is El Fantasma Blanco, who I feel kind of bad for him because he seems to have come along in the luchador genre right at the tail end of its run for popularity, because I think the earliest movies, I think 55, 54, 55. Very interesting parallel with my other cinematic interest, which is sort of Japanese noir and the sorts of crime movies from Japan. These sort of came about at the same time, and also sort of peaked at about the same time, and then crashed at the same time. Oh, this is completely disconnected. The nuclear apocalypse was the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle, and there it shall remain. That is its own thing. These are not a consistent universe, to be clear. But yeah, so he kind of came along at the end of that genre and shows up in some of the almost like, Sentai-esque movies where you've got a team of luchadors fighting crime or some sort of evil. But yeah, he doesn't really get his day as a leading man. So it opens up in an art shop with all of these colonial era artifacts and paintings and such, and then there's this painting that we settle on, which has a woman laying in bed, bottom half human, top half skeleton, and a paramour there, clearly romancing death. Tinny Ablas is like, I want that, and this guy here is very much your mysterious stall owner warning Homer about cursed yogurt. And he warns him, hey, this is cursed. This has got a curse on it. I don't know why he's selling it. He's like, don't buy it. And Tinny Ablas is like, oh, you can't fool me. You can't fool me. I know a good painting when I see one, so I want to buy it. So Tinny Ablas buys it. This is the setup for all of... No, El Santo does arrive wherever. Almost. It depends on the movie, kind of. In some of them, El Santo is... he shows up as needed because that is what he does. In others, he is restricted to where he happens to be wrestling. It's one of the things I like about El Santo that makes him distinct from Batman or James Bond, to whom he is often compared, is they have deep pockets and resources, and El Santo goes where he goes because he has to work. he's got a show to run, and his crime fighting, his zombie stomping, and all this other stuff, that's entirely contingent upon his work schedule. So that's an aspect of his character that I like quite a lot. So yeah, then we cut straight to backstage. Tinny Ablas and Mil Mascaras are going into a tag team match. They've got a little bit of a scuffle between them. They're a couple spicy fellas on the same team, so there's some fun razzing there. And so this is a really great showcase of sort of their basic sets. These are sort of like household names for lucha, and so it's really great to get to see them in action in non-grainy, good quality recording. Mil Mascaras, this is a move that is done by many luchadors, but he does it extremely well in a way that feels very natural, where you grab somebody by the head, throw yourself up so it looks like they're lifting you up, and then you bring your full body weight down and you throw them. And that's great. A lot of times it can look like, because you need the cooperation of your partner for that to succeed. And he manages to do it in a way that looks like, his partner is not cooperating. It looks like it's, actually succeeding on its own merits. So very, very good, and a variation of that I like quite a lot. Where he's got one guy in a headlock. The partner is running up to help his friend, so he uses the guy in a headlock as ground, lifts himself up. Is he going for a drop kick? No, he is not. He is catching the other guy by the head, and now that he has one in a leg lock and the other in an arm lock, he twists reaches to the ground, plants, torques, and throws them both. It rules. This is such a good move. I love when this comes up in a match, and again, like the fact that like this is something that I don't always see, which is oftentimes it's sort of construed as like a very aerial or acrobatic move, and the fact that he grounds so many of these moves I think is very very compelling and very entertaining to see. It also showcases Tini Ablas's thing. You know, he's El Gigante, he's huge, and this is him sort of grabbing the two Rudos and slamming them together like a couple of pies and sending them sprawling. So that's sort of like his you know his overpowering strength and height. Tini Blas Jr. is very entertaining to watch too. So I want to point out that this movie is 1 hour and 19 minutes long. This fight starts at 5:25. This fight ends at 23:54. This is a whole damn match. This is not what the other movies do, which is they will have maybe like 5 minutes of wrestling to show that yes, these are luchadors. This is what they're doing. This is their bread and butter. This is an entire match. This is easily a fifth of the movie, and I'm very very pleased with that. So. And in that spirit, oh yes, this is one of Mil Mascaras' again, like this is such a great drop kick. Watch this, just from a standing position, leaps up, boom, right in the neck, and then moves his twists to catch himself on the ground with his hand, and then rolls into recovery. So that's just such a great, quick acrobatic move. But yeah, so there's a storyline to this after the wrestling, which is that these guys are buddies, and they decide to go back to Tini Ablas's place to hang out. Mil Mascaras is like, wow, you've got terrible taste. And Tini Ablas is like, yeah, well, yeah, you know. And turns out terrible taste is cursed. Smoke comes from the painting, and our gang is now back in colonial times. Why not? This would be our three main characters, two of their girlfriends. They're all teleported back. They're basically a Scooby-Doo gang. This guy shows up, is slamming on the organ. He doesn't impact the narrative at all. He is, I would say, at best, the chorus in a Greek play. There's a lot of this, a great deal of this. The sword fighting is not nearly as inspired as the lucha. So yeah, the scam being run here is that she is the priestess of a cult, of an indigenous cult, around a mummy that she calls Mother, and she cleans up bodies after street duels to take the wounded but not dead ones to sacrifice them to Mother. And let's see, there we go. So yeah, so our gang sees this and then decides to intervene because, of course, you're heroes and you're wrestlers, so what do you do when you're teleported back into colonial times but interfere with history with wrestling? And this is our mummy, this is the center of the cult, this is her taking the wounded soldier and sacrificing him on the altar, and this is our gang. Gosh, what have we gotten ourselves into? And they're calling them a Scooby-Doo gang is the best way I can describe it, because they are just that goofy and that sort of driven to get to the bottom of this, to do good and also get out. Eventually it does come to a head where they come face to face with the mummy. The mummy, of course, has superhuman strength, despite the fact that it looks like, you know, corn on the cob that's been, you know, left out to dry for 5 years. And she like smacks them to the bottom of the stairwell, and they are imprisoned. So what's our way out of this? If you guessed wrestling, as Mil Mascaras does, you are right. So he gets out there and is just wrestling with these cultists. Eventually the girls take the painting, which exists in the past, smashes it down on the head priestess, and this teleports us back to the future. This is the sort of thing that I think of as a series of events rather than necessarily a plot, because there's like there's no through line, there's no tug of war, there's no give and take of fate outside of the fact that there was something incredibly powerful that they couldn't beat, so they had to beat it with smarts. This is just, that's it. So now they're back in the present, they're sleeping on their way back to their lucha match, they're going in, and who do they find their opponents but the same cultists who have traveled through time to get them. I especially like the expression of the guy in the middle, who is as surprised to be there as I think these guys are to see him. So yeah, so they're like, hell no, we're getting out of here. We're no longer dealing with human sacrificing cultists from the colonial era who can travel through time and catch up with us and somehow get in good with the Impresa and get a slot in the lucha match. And who do they see in the audience but our priestess in modern day garb out on a date? She does not react to them. This is key. Does not react to them with evil recognition. You know, you would think that if this is in fact the cult traveling through time to catch up with them, that she would have some sort of devious look, a glint in her eye that says, now we've got you, and we've got you on your own turf when you didn't expect it. She's just as confused as they are. And I like to think that she believes that they have followed her through time for some sort of revenge, and each of them just wants out. They don't know what's going on. That's the headcanon I have. I don't think that's the movie. So they get into the ring, and of course Tinieblas is fighting, and Mil Mascaras and El Fantasma Blanco just peace out. They hop out of the ring and sit ringside with their girlfriends, and leave Tinieblas to deal with this. And I think the joke here is that, well, it was your cursed painting that caused all this. You can deal with the time-traveling, bloodthirsty cultists. And they, you know, of course, don't help. This is their response when he asked for help, which is to say, you can take care of it yourself, because this is clearly not their problem also. Tinieblas, of course, uses a classic Technico trick versus Rudos who gang up, which is to trick them all into hitting each other at the same time. So they get knocked out, he wins, he's victorious. And that's the end of the movie, which leaves so many more questions than answers. It leaves so much that we want to know about time traveling, about how this cult works without the mummy, which did not time travel with them, why the priestess just wants to be left alone. There's much unknown here, and I cannot tell you how much from the bottom of my heart that I've discovered this genre of movie. It is free to do so many weird things. It is not an it's so bad it's good thing. It is so strange. I have never seen anything like this in my life. And it is just this stage on which so much weird stuff can happen. I love it. And that is why I will gladly devote 20 minutes at the head of a video game stream to sharing, to showing and telling what I have about it. So, God bless you, Tinieblas. Mil Mascaras and El Fantasma Blanco. How sad it is that you came along in the genre when you did and did not get your hour. So, with that in mind, we gonna go on. Nope, not you. Boop. There we go. There's our channel. We are going to go to Echo Knight.